Everybody knows about Lake Lanier. We hear all of the horror stories about how people go there to have a good time and it ends in tragedy. However, not many people know about Oscarville, the town under Lake Lanier. We're going to do a mini deep dive and provide a little information about the town and the lake.
For those of you who don't know, Lake Lanier is a man-made 38,000-acre lake named after Sidney Lanier, who was a poet and Confederate soldier. As of August 2023, the lake attracts about 10 million visitors per year and brings in about $5 billion annually to North Georgia. It's located in Forsyth County, which is very affluent and has the highest median income in Metro Atlanta. Many people say that this lake is haunted because of all the mysterious deaths and occurrences that happen here. People who have swam in the lake say that you can still see parts of the structures and trees that were part of Oscarville. Now let's get to Oscarville. Not much is known about the town. However, it was formed in the late 1800s during the Reconstruction era and was home to nearly 1,100 African Americans, many of whom were freed after fighting in the Civil War. It was a thriving community that was home to carpenters, blacksmiths, and bricklayers. Farming was the top trade. Their ability to grow crops was so profitable because the state of Georgia was really struggling to produce crops during that time. They owned their own land and homes. The people also invested in the community. They funded numerous churches, education, and businesses. This community investing led to many of the town's residents having a higher economic growth than a lot of other Black communities in the late 1800s. Oscarville shared the Chattahoochee River with a neighboring town called Cumming, Georgia, in Forsyth County. On September 5, 1912, a Forsyth County resident by the name of Ellen Grice said she woke up to a Black man in her bed attempting to rape her. Just a few days later, William Reed, the Forsyth County sheriff, arrested Tony Howell along with Isaiah Perkle, Johnny Bates, Fate Chester, and Joe Rogers. Tony Howell was the one who was accused of committing the crime, and the others were arrested for defending him by claiming he was with them when the crime occurred. It's important to remember that during this time, when young white women had crimes committed against them, instead of finding out who actually did it, they went to the nearest Black town or found the nearest Black male, didn't matter the age, and blamed them. When word spread that these men were arrested, Grant Smith, a local pastor, demanded the release of the 5 men. However, he was beaten by an angry white mob who wanted him to be hung or burned alive. Joseph Mackey, the governor of Georgia in 1912, was afraid of riots breaking out as there had been riots a few years prior in 1906. So he intervened and sent the National Guard in to prevent riots and then transferred the men to different jails for their safety. While all of this is happening, an 18-year-old by the name of May Crow goes missing on September 8th. A search party finds her in the woods near her home with her throat cut. She was unconscious, but she was still alive. She did eventually die later in the month. They also claimed to have found a small mirror by her body. Now, no one knows how true the finding of the mirror is, according to the Atlanta History Center. Ernest Knox, a 17-year-old, was the first to be arrested. He had recently moved to Forsyth County to live with the Daniels, who were his extended family. He was one of only 37 Black people living in the New Bridge district, according to the census. Ernest was then coerced and forced into a confession for attacking Crow after a prominent member of the community brought the mirror to him and asked if he owned it. He was then taken to the authorities and arrested, where he was eventually moved to Fulton County Jail to prevent another mob. Now, I am going to stop this particular story right here, as there was a lot that happened and it would honestly need its own video. These events led to the ethnic cleansing of Oscarville and Forsyth County as a whole. An ethnic cleansing doesn't necessarily mean that an area is a minority town or mostly houses minority people. It could mean that an area is, in this case, predominantly white, and they just didn't want any minority groups there. So they perform a cleansing where they intimidate, kill, etc. in order to remove them out of town. That is the case of what happened in Oscarville. They took 2 crimes, blamed it on Black men without any evidence, forced them to confess, and used it as fuel to completely remove the Black people from the area. After this, believe it or not, the town of Oscarville did continue on. The white people in the area stayed, raised families, had careers, and lived their lives until the U.S. military claimed about a quarter of the town through eminent domain in favor of the Atlanta government. Atlanta was in desperate need of fresh water, so they displaced many people in small farming towns and rural areas. In April of 1947, the Industrial Bureau and the Chamber of Commerce met to approve and move forward with the building of Beaufort Dam. They then pulled water in Forsyth County and created Lake Lanier. In the end, the white residents that performed the ethnic cleansing had to end up leaving themselves. Karma at its finest. Please like, comment, and subscribe. See you next video.